specific.
Okay.
So it won't work for NCs and NDs.
Yeah, we're not getting NCs. What, anything here suitable for an NC?
Yeah, actually a lot of what's on the table I'll be talking about will be for NCs. And some stuff that's not on the table. But we're just about to start, so
Yeah.
I'll be talking about it here in just a moment.
Okay. So when you give me a nod, I'll make the mic hot and I'll start the recording.
Okay. Travis, you're good? Welcome, 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 summer campers. I see so many bright, smiling faces. This is excellent. I'm gonna learn the mic position. Is this okay, Logan? Okay. I'll try to hold it here and not have too much feedback. So, my name is Mike Usrey, and I'm going to do the next seminar. I'm actually going to be talking about the new products that our engineering team has come up with and either come up with from scratch or done some redesign work on existing products this last year. So, first of all, I'd like to thank our engineering team right over here. Everybody, hi engineers! So Brandon, Kyle, and Ryan have been hard at work. We don't let them rest until they finish their projects. No, not really. But they have been doing a lot of updating and design work this year. So we thought we'd talk about it a little bit. And when I mess something up, Brandon will come running over here and he'll correct me. So, bear with me. But let's start on this side of the table, and I'll just kind of work my way over. There's a little bit of everything in here for everybody. Some of this stuff is specific for certain generations, and I'll talk about it as we go through the different products. I have a lot to go through, so if you have a specific question, hold on to it, and I will try to get questions answered at the end. I will do my best not to forget, so please don't forget your question either. So, starting off on this side, these probably look familiar to a lot of you. These are hood louvers, but specifically these are new hood louvers from our friends over at Spiked. Thank you. Yes, Spiked Motorsports. So these ones are specifically for the NC generation. They have the right curvature to fit the hood. One of the things that makes these different from some of the other louvers on the market at the moment is that they are a two-piece hood louver kit rather than a three-piece, which is common for like singular motorsports. They also have pre-bent fins, so you don't have to worry about trying to get the angle of the fins set up just right. It's already done for you. They're also powder coated, so instead of like an anodized coating, this powder coat is very durable and it doesn't generally like change color with temperature. So these are a very durable option. They're also priced quite well. So if you're looking to cool down your NC because maybe you have a turbo and you're going to go on track or something, then that could be a good idea for making sure that you can move enough airflow out of the engine bay. These are on the shelf now, and I think that they will be added to the website shortly, if I recall. Brandon, need a nod?
Yeah, they're here.
Yeah, they're here, but we just haven't got them on the website. So probably a few more weeks getting pictures and stuff like that online, and they'll be ready to go. Next thing I want to talk about that I think Keith already covered a little bit, so I won't beat this one to death, is he has a new version, version 2, of how to build a high-performance Mazda Miata. I would assume most of you have heard a little bit about this if you were in the last seminar, right? Can I see some nods? Okay. This is something that Keith knows a lot more about than I do, so I won't try to go into any further detail, but I will say the picture quality and a lot of the content has been updated to include more modern stuff, including NCs and NDs, which didn't exist the first time he set up this book. So there's a lot more content that is applicable to the newer generations as well. If you're looking to really dive in the deep end and learn more about the car, and you want to learn more about what makes it fast, what makes it stop, what makes it handle, that kind of stuff, and a lot more, this is a great book to really educate yourself, even if you don't know a whole bunch about the car to begin with. He talks about a lot of stuff at high level, but also he starts with a lot of information that's very simple to understand. So I strongly recommend, if you're looking to really learn about the book, this is a good place to start. Okay, let's jump into, let's talk about door bushings. So, if I can hold these with one hand. A lot of you are probably familiar with our door bushings, but we have a new version of the door bushings. We've had a few iterations over the years where they used to be Delrin, and then we've had some that were 3D printed, and now we've finally moved on to kind of the, I guess you could say the final boss. These are really, really stiff injection molded plastic, and one that makes them a really, really good candidate for making the bushings really stiff. They don't flex, but also it makes them less expensive, so that way you don't have to pay so much to upgrade your door bushings. Upgrade your door bushings, what does that mean? The stock rubber bushings are very flexible, so your door flops around. These door bushings hold your door in place and makes the door more of a structural part of the car. And especially on the earlier generations, you can expect that you'll get a few less rattles. It'll be something that if you have a car that's got a lot of miles on it too, this might help clean up some of that bouncy, rattling noise that you get when going over expansion joints and bumps and that kind of thing. And of course, now that they're injection molded, you can have them in fun colors. So new and never before seen, we've had, well, before our previous editions anyway, we have red and blue available. And I will note, if you have a particular color in mind that we don't currently offer, go pester Brandon and tell him what color you want to see in future door bushings. All right. A new thing that unfortunately I don't actually have here because it's so new, but maybe some of you might be able to tell. Maybe, if you can see, squint really hard. We have these little locks. They're for your eccentrics. So something like this. Whoa! I don't need that one. You probably have seen eccentric bolts if you've ever worked underneath your car with the suspension system. And we've had these locks that go on the eccentrics for NAs and NBs for a while. These locks are from Paco Motorsports. And basically they feature a little kind of alien guy that goes on the bolt, and then there's a lock, little egg shape that goes around it, and that goes into the subframe and locks it in place. This is because on especially motorsports applications where you're driving hard, you got sticky tires, you're going around corners, you can cause those eccentrics to slip, and then all of a sudden your alignment is out the window. Don't know. I have a lot of camber, not enough camber, who knows anymore? It's gone. So eccentric locks can keep your alignment where it's supposed to be once you have the alignment done, either using our hub stands or at alignment shop, of course. Now, because we've had these NA and NB locks and they've been really successful, Paco Motorsports has come up with an NC version. So NC owners rejoice. If you have had issues with slipping eccentrics, now there will be versions for your eccentrics as well. They are a little different because the eccentrics on the NCs are different size. There's a M12 and an M14 size eccentric. And basically there will be two different lock versions. They also share the same platform with the RX-8. So when they do come in, the little alien face will actually have little spinning Dorito eyes or mouth or something like that. I forget how it looks, but basically because the RX-8 and the rotary that's in those cars. So they'll look a little different, but basically function identically to the NAs and NBs for locking those eccentric cams in place. Okay. Also, a new NC thing. This one's a quick and easy one. Spark plugs. There's 4 of them. Brandon's mouthing something to me that I can't tell. That's true. Okay. So the one I'm holding is for NCs, but we will have spark plugs, an update in spark plugs for all generations. Basically, NGK has some really trick spark plugs that you probably heard of, iridium or platinum or a few other variants of spark plug flavors. It's very common on NAs and NBs to use just copper, but a lot of the NCs and NDs need iridium or platinum because they have a much finer electrode. Nowadays, or a very recent technology that they've come out with, is a new metal electrode called ruthenium. So we will now be carrying ruthenium spark plugs that basically last even longer than iridium or platinums. They're good for about usually 80 to 100,000 miles before you need to replace them. But both the little points, the electrode, the center electrode, and the ground strap electrode are actually coated in this ruthenium, so they last a long, long time. There will be two variants that we'll carry. Basically, there will be they have a clever name for this, a turbo version and a naturally aspirated version. The naturally aspirated version, they call it a double fine electrode. And then for the turbo version, they call it the projected square platinum electrode. Long, silly names, but basically the shape at the very end of this that I can hardly see when I hold it up like this, it's a little bit different, and it helps for better suited those specific applications. I won't bore you with spark plugs, I promise. We'll call that good for now. Another simple little treat that we're now announcing that has been kind of a staple that we've had for a long time, and it's been a really easy upgrade for NAs, NBs, and NCs, are magnetic oil drain plugs. This has been something we've actually carried for quite a while, a few years at least, and it's worked really well. I've used it on my NB and my NC. It's a great upgrade, but it hasn't fit the ND. It's had a different shape, different length. And so now, thanks to our engineering team, we have an upgrade. We have a magnetic oil drain plug that now fits all 4 generations. So if you would like to run a magnetic oil drain plug, make sure that if there's any shavings in your oil, you can catch it on this little magnetic piece. And that way, every time you do an oil change, you can see, am I in trouble? Did I do a bad thing? Okay, nope, don't have any silver shavings, we're good. All right, so let's talk about the Banks iDash next. Let's talk about something a little bit more tech heavy. So I'm sorry, I'm holding up a lot of really tiny things. You can blame our engineers for that, I think. But this guy is a little bitty gauge. Basically, you've probably heard of boost gauges, or if you have a coolant temperature gauge or oil pressure gauge, whatever. This is all of those things and more in one little convenient housing. It's the same size gauge. It's a 2 1/16 diameter, so it fits just any other gauge pod like you would think. But this is a supercomputer, well, at least a very smart microcomputer inside it. And it has a display with some buttons here, and it actually will allow you to read a whole bunch of information from your car using your OBD2. Now, this is mostly for the NC and NDs, although you can use it on your NAs and NBs. There's just very limited information that you can get because their OBD2 system, if we're talking 96 plus, has limited amount of info.
Only power and ground on NAs.
That's all it gets? Oh, well, I'm glad that you're there. So Brandon's correcting me that only power and ground is all that this sees if you're on an NA or NB. So I will amend that saying that you can still run this on your NA or NB because Banks, the company who makes these gauges, they also offer a wide variety of aftermarket sensors. So if you are tracking your NA or NB and want to keep an eye on your temperatures or anything like that, they actually have sensors that you can hook up to this gauge outside of your factory sensors and harness that you can still keep track of and watch. But not only that, this has a little slot that, of course, none of you can see from where you're sitting, that you can mount a little micro SD card, and you can actually data log on this little guy. So if you want to keep logs of what's happening on the track because you're too busy driving and actually looking where you're supposed to be going around the corners, this will keep track of all of that information and log it for you. So that way when you get back to the pits, you can check it out. Oh wow, my temperatures got really hot. I should probably lay off on lap 3, whatever. But this is something that they've actually had this for a while. This is version 2, basically a cleaned up interface. It's got a faster microprocessor, so it's capable of a little bit more speed for logging, and just general usability is quicker and easier. But this little guy, very handy. I have it in my NC. We've used it on our shop NC, and actually a little bit of data logging for the earlier cars with additional sensors as well. And we love it. If you're looking for a way to keep track of lots of different data all at the same time without having 100 different gauges, the Banks iDash is a super solution. All right, let's talk about some 3D printed stuff. Do we have any 3D printing aficionados in the building? Got a couple back here. Got a few hobby. Tom, I know you do a lot of 3D printing. So one of the things that in recent years we've really gotten into is 3D printing, and it's allowed us to do a lot of really cool things, mostly adapters, mostly little brackets that are custom that might otherwise cost a ton of money to do in metal or something like that, but we can make shapes that basically whatever we can dream up within reason, we can come up with a piece to suit the application. So this thing that I'm holding in my hand that just fell apart, it's two pieces because this is actually intended to be a little cover to go around your roll bar, specifically NAs and NBs. So if you've ever installed a roll bar on your NA or NB and you cut the carpet around that little leg that goes back to the parcel shelf, and then you look at it and you're like, did I use a beaver to like gnaw out the hole? Who did this? This is terrible. I get you, I've been there. So if you find that it's a really ugly looking hole and you want to cover it, that's what this is. This is a beauty trim ring designed for the Hard Dog roll bars. We've only fitted it with Hard Dog roll bars, but I have heard it does fit a few other brands. I can't give you confirmations on specifics, unfortunately. Basically, we've got a couple of different versions for different sizes. Common sizes are 1.5 inch and 1 3/4 bars, because that's what Hard Dog uses for most of their stuff. But if you have a Hard Dog bar, on the website listing and on the back of the piece itself, it'll actually say which bar it's intended to fit. If you have any questions about this, you can just check out the website or come check out this piece after the seminar. But basically, this helps fix your mistakes. I really like them. Along the line of 3D printed stuff, just to continue, I'm talking about NA and B stuff. Everybody's probably at least seen this hanging around. Is everybody, oh, who doesn't know what this is? NA or NC and ND owners should probably be raising their hands. Thanks, Jeremy, I appreciate it. So this is what we call our Randall cowl intake. And this is for naturally aspirated NAs and NBs. And this basically takes the place of the snorkel tube that's on the filter housing. And you can see on this end, there's kind of this funny shaped end. And we have 3D printed this attachment point for the firewall. And this basically allows you to have some real cold air from outside the engine bay get to your air filter in your stock air box after you cut a hole in your firewall. This is a really good thing. We've actually been selling this for a while. This is version 2 of this. We used to do this in carbon fiber, and now we've reduced the price with silicone and made it easier to install. But what happens when you go turbo, when you're like, I've cut this hole in my firewall because I had this Randall cowl that was really good, but now I have boost and I don't need that. By popular demand, we have started printing a block-off plate. So if you have moved on from naturally aspirated superiority, or so says Ethan, this is something that you can use to cover up the plate, or cover up the hole in the firewall where you've cut a big gaping hole to fit your intake for the Randall cowl. So another fix your mistake or fix your ugly cut hole and make it look nice again. This will work with both NAs and NBs. I just realized that I've been talking about a lot of this stuff and not told you about what it costs, and I apologize. So this little guy, this little cover plate, it is $14.99 for the low price of $14.99. Okay, so more 3D printed stuff. This little guy. Whoop. We have little 3D printed oil filters. I'm sorry, oil funnels, excuse me. And this little guy threads into the top of your valve cover so that way you don't make as much of a mess when you're filling up your engine with oil. We've had this for a little while and it's got this cool little base. So that way it can sit on the table and hopefully not, roll around or off the table. But now we also have an upgrade. We have the clean oil, oh, Matt, Keith is gonna kick me for this. I already forgot what he called it. It's a cover for your oil funnel. It keeps the dust out so that way when you go to use it next time, it's not full of dirt and oil and stuff, or dirt and dust and debris. So that way you just plug it into your valve cover, dump oil again, put the cat back on, put it off to the side, you're done. Easy peasy. So this is available as a separate piece if you already have the oil funnel. And this little guy, also inexpensive, is $9.99. Forgot my glasses. So if you have it, we have those available now. We print them and they are on the shelf. Let's jump back to NCs for a little while. I like NCs. So for NCs, one of the things, especially some of our newly boosted folks that are in the building, might have noticed that it's not really there's not a convenient place to put boost gauges or Banks eye dashes. So our friendly engineers have come up with a solution to that. Some of the other ideas on the market, they're not in ideal spots, and we thought, really, we want it pretty close to the gauge cluster already. We don't want to be looking all the way off to the side trying to find this thing. So we have a 3D printed gauge pod, and this actually mounts to your defrost vent to the left of the steering wheel. So this little pod has a foot on it, and this is shaped just like the top portion of your defrost vent. And then we provide a little hook that you just slip on the bottom, and it basically hooks under the vent, and there's a screw also included, so that way you can just tighten it up against one of the vent fins, and it holds it in place. Easy peasy. You don't have to drill holes. You don't have to do anything permanent. It's something you can take off if you decide that you don't want it later, but very easy and simple to install. I have one in my car out in the paddock, so if you'd like to see it in action, check out the white NC out there, and I've got it actually with my Banks iDash already in use. Really, really easy. I'm a big fan. We had been using some of the suction cup style ones before, and they work fine, but this one actually lowers it down on the dash a little bit closer to the rest of the gauges. I really like it. A lot more ergonomic and just looks like it belongs. This is $29.99, and basically we are very close to releasing this. We need to probably do a little bit more as far as printing, so that way we can get it up to speed with our inventory levels before we release it, basically. But this should be available very soon, probably within the next month or two. All right, more NC stuff. There's kind of a theme going on here. Do any of my NC owners know what this is? It's live on the website right now. Don, where are you? Didn't I just sell you one of these? He must not be here. Okay, so for NC owners who have changed their oil and cursed that dang engineer that put the filter right above the subframe, so that way anytime you loosen the filter, the oil splashes down. It's all over the subframe. It's all down your arm and your elbow, and you're like, this was the best you could do? Really? This is your solution. This weird little funnel sits on top of your subframe right underneath your oil filter. It bolts in place with a mount on the bottom, so that way it sits on the subframe, and once you bolt it in, it's just there. You don't have to worry about it ever again. And when you loosen the filter, all of the oil dribbles into this little catch can, over the top, down the side, and into your catch can, like it should have all along, Mazda. These guys, if you are going to do your own oil changes or want your oil change guy to not hate you, this is a super, super idea. We were going to name it something. Should I tell them? We try to come up with clever names for a lot of our products. We really wanted to call this the N-She-We, and we thought, should we? Nah, it's probably not professional. Okay. So it's the oil filter drain funnel. These guys are $39.99. They are available right now. We have them in stock. So if you're tired of getting oil all down your arm and cleaning off the subframe, go talk to us over here. We'll get you set up with an order so you can take one home. My car is getting one of these post-haste after summer camp, I guarantee it. Okay, let's talk about something not NC for a little bit. These are also 3D printed. Let me just hold one. And no, this isn't for lacrosse. This is actually a go fast part, or actually in this case, a stop fast part. These crazy looking objects are actually brake scoops. These are for your ND Miata. So rather than having hoses that might get in the way or rub open or have issues that they're always, I don't know if anybody has run ducted, like brake duct setups before, it can be kind of a pain. These guys actually attach with some sticky tape and some zip ties to your lower control arms, and they direct air via this big old scoop right at the back of your rotors to keep your rotors cool. So if you're tracking your ND and you want a simple solution that you don't really have to maintain or worry about rubbing through hoses, these scoops are excellent. We have tested, I think it was 100 degrees. Let me jump back to my notes here. A very significant difference in how much they can cool. Yeah, our testing showed 100 degrees Celsius, or 212 degrees freedom units for the rest of us. They're very easy to install. They can come off just as easily in case you need to. Basically, again, just sticky-sided foam on one side with some zip ties through some of the supports, and you're good to go. Easy peasy. These guys are 125 bucks for the pair, and we do have these ready to go. They're on our website. You can come see us if you want to check them out or get a pair for yourself today. All right, let's get back to NA and NBs. We haven't talked about them in a little while. NAs and NBs. We have had a lot of different coolant reroutes available for NAs and NBs over the years because, as we all know, Mazda should have put that thermostat in the back, so that way the coolant flow was correct and you actually kept even temperature across all 4 cylinders. But reroutes over the years have evolved because we've had updated designs, we've worked with different companies, we've had tweaks here and there to make them easier and more efficient, but we've never really had a great solution for getting that coolant from the back of the engine to the head cleanly, until now. Now, we have these really goofy shaped hoses that are very specific to each engine bay. So basically, we've got 4 of these that are going to be specific to whether you have an NA or NB, but also specific to if you have a standard or upright style radiator or one of our cross-flow radiators, because the inlets are a little bit different position. So gone are the days that you need to worry about taking extra zip ties and tying that long, flimsy hose, trying to get it out of the way so it doesn't rub your throttle cable, that kind of stuff. These are already figured out for you. The routing is perfect for your engine bay, and it just installs like a glove. These are actually something we've been working on a little while, and we are, I think we have some in-house, but they're not actually on the shelf ready to purchase, but they will be very soon. So if you have an existing reroute, and these probably will work with a few other brands besides ours in case you have somebody else's reroute, as long as it's pretty close to ours. Come take a look, actually, if you want. I've got a display engine up in the front with one of our reroutes. But these guys will be available very soon for purchase individually if you'd like to update, but they will also be included with all our reroutes going forward. So if you're looking for another excuse to upgrade and get a coolant reroute for your engine, all NAs and NBs, we will have custom formed hoses included with kits in the near future. These by themselves, if you want, oops, I don't have the prices. Brandon, do you know the price on these offhand? No? Sorry, I don't have the price on this one. Brandon will tell me in very short order. Okay. NAs and NBs. Let's move on to NDs. So, some of the newer chassis items we have had have been mostly little updates in here and there, but I have a new shiny coilover to talk about. This is a Koni coilover, and this is a very new thing, actually. They've just recently come out with it. We've done some testing, and we are happy to announce that we will also be offering Koni's new GTS shock and, well, coilover assembly. This is actually a full-blown threaded shaft body. So not like, or I guess similar to, but more adjustable than you're used to, like the Koni Sports or the yellow shock absorbers. This is kind of a similar concept, except it, of course, incorporates adjustable ride height. And then you can also use a more standard off-the-shelf spring that doesn't have to be a stock-style spring. These are a 2.5, or is it 2.25 inch diameter spring, Brandon? They're in between.
Yeah, I think it's a metric spring.
Oh, it's a metric spring, okay. So, which are available, I think one of the common ones is like 60 millimeters or something like that, I don't know. They are a standard, or I guess a uniform diameter. So if you needed to change out springs, you certainly can. These guys, we'll have more specifications when we have these live on the website. But basically, these guys are going to have a lot of the same kind of characteristics as the Koni Sports, but along with ride height adjustability, and of course, it's going to have the damping control just like the Sports do already. These guys, in our testing, they've done really, really well. We've actually been running these on one of our test cars for a few months and have had really, really good success for them. They are friendly, they are streetable, but these ones, the spring rates that they are coming with, they are, sorry, I need a third hand to be able to look at my notes here. There we go. They are 350 pound-inches front and 175 pound-inches rear, which are very streetable spring rates. That's going to make for a very good ride. We do recommend that you do pair this with an upgraded sway bar set. Obviously, we like ours. We would recommend ours, but something along those lines, because that does help pair with this shock and spring combo for the best ride quality and getting the most out of your suspension at the same time. As far as springs are concerned, the valving does support up to about 700 pound-inches front and 550 rear. So if you wanted to go more extreme than what these come with out of the box, you can. There are ways to upgrade this if you do find yourself needing more spring for more track abuse. These guys are going to be available very soon. Yeah, we don't have them ready to go as far as out the door. We do actually have them here. They're just waiting some final details to go up on our website. When they do go live, they will be $16.99 for the set. That's including the springs and all the bits that you see here. This is just one, but of course we'll sell them in sets of 4. Don't worry, that is the price for all 4. Okay, so now let's do some more shiny stuff. So these guys over here, Keith talked about this earlier, that we have acquired like wheels. So I won't beat the history to death too much on these guys, but short story on these is that they are available now. We do have them in stock. You can purchase them today if you want. They are 15x8s, so this is going to be NA and B fitment. Although we have tested this on our ND with the standard brakes, and it does actually fit over ND standard brakes if you wanted to run 15s. The aggressive offset is going to be something you need to plan on a lot of camber or rolling your fenders if you do want an ND fitment with these wheels. But for NAs and NBs, this is actually a really good setup if you plan to run 205s or even 225s for a more aggressive stance. They are 15x8s, and they are quite light. If I can, there we go. These are kind of the steely look, the retro look, but they are in fact aluminum. So they're only 12.5 pounds. So for Miatas, that is a really, really good thing. They are super strong, of course. They actually have a very thick construction since they don't have individual spokes. But these guys, they come in this white color. We also have a full bronze. I see you, I'll get to you in just a second. And then we also have a couple of options that have this polished lip. This one is the gunmetal option, but then we also have one that's black in the center with a polished lip. They are $225 a piece and $235 a piece if you want the polished lip. I think that we have full sets of all 4 colors at the moment. We don't have the silvers at the moment. Sorry if that's what you wanted. But these guys are here. They're available now. If you'd like to come check them out, if you're interested in these, of course, come up after the seminar and we can look at them closer and talk to you a little bit more about them as well. Was your question in relation to these wheels specifically? Okay, what is it?
I don't know if I missed it, but what's the offset?
Oh, I'm sorry. If I didn't mention it earlier, the offset is 25 millimeters. So NAs and NBs, that will be relatively aggressive. Depending on your tire setup, you may need to roll your fenders, especially if you have an NA. Okay. Moving on, let's talk about another shiny. A lot of you are probably familiar with our Kogeki wheels, but we have a new hotness. There we go. This is our new satin bronze color. You've probably seen some of our older gloss bronze colors, and those are really popular, but we wanted a little bit more saturation. We wanted it to be a little bit more bronze. So we talked with our manufacturer and worked out that we were able to get a hold of this color, which I'm quite a big fan of, actually. I have these on my white NC outside, so if you want to see these in the sunlight, there's a few in the parking lot, actually. But this is the new bronze color. If you like bronze, and hopefully you like this kind of more saturated, deeper bronze color, it really pops well in the sunlight, but it is a more matte finish, or satin finish, I guess, rather, instead of the gloss. It is a same wheel that we've had, you know, same specs and all that kind of stuff as all of our other Kogekis. The only difference is that we're moving to the satin bronze and away from the gloss bronze. It was a little bit more muted of a bronze color. So another one that's a really, really cool color and wheel combo, but just kind of a slight upgrade, or I think it's a slight upgrade in color versus what we had before. These guys, same pricing as well as what we had on the web store, so no difference there. Okay, let's talk about this bumper. Why do I have a random NC bumper on the table? So, I'm going to try to not make a mess. There we go. Woo! Hey! Dinner and a show. So this bumper cover, hopefully as I move these out of the way, everybody can see it a little bit better. Can anybody spot the difference? What is not stock on this bumper cover? Fog lights? I heard fog lights. Yeah? Excellent. Good eyes. So these fog lights are a new offering that we will be carrying from Morimoto. Morimoto is a manufacturer of a lot of different lighting LEDs, generally speaking, and they have a more or less plug-and-play solution for NCs and a few other Mazdas. If you have a CX-5, actually these also work, for what it's worth. But these fog lights, they're their XB series. And basically what that means is that they are designed to be a drop-in fitment to replace the entire fog light housing, and you don't have any of the factory fog light left. And the thing that makes that important is that, one, if you have a really bad, ugly, cracked lens on your stock fog lights, this replaces all of that. No big deal. But even better is that this LED is super bright, and it's actually a driving pattern, like a low beam, flat cutoff pattern. So if you have been unimpressed by the low beams in your NC Miata, and you would like to supplement that with something that actually gives you some light throw down the road, these might be the best option for you. Unfortunately, with the headlights, I don't have an update there. We're looking into things, but basically, if you have ever looked at your low beam bulbs and noticed that they have that goofy little adapter, it's really hard to find or be able to make them brighter without kind of botching something together. So without doing something dramatic to your headlights, this is a good way to supplement your subpar low beams in the NC with something that actually throws light down the road, has a nice clean cutoff, and it'll be a 6000K, or basically slightly blued, but kind of a crisp white color LED. It looks very modern. If you've ever driven an ND Miata, their headlights are kind of about that 6000K color, that real crisp white. So I really like it for making it look modern, but more than that, if you have any kind of eyesight problems that you really need to have a bright light to help you see down the road, this kind of cuts through a lot of that hazy, not very well developed light output from the low beam headlights. These guys, We are not stocked at the moment. We're working on getting them on the shelf. And basically, when they do come in, they will be available, ready to go at oh, there it is. $195 for the pair. These guys, as I mentioned, they are a more or less drop-in, plug-and-play fit. I will flip this around, and then for those of you that are interested, can come up here and take a look. It does require a slight amount of trimming to the plastic on the backside, so that way they can fit, but they do bolt in. Mostly, the trimming is necessary because these fog lights do have cast housings, aluminum housings, and you can maybe see some of the fins here on the units. Turn that a little bit for you guys. But basically, they are super robust. They are intended to be used often, and they do have heat sinks, so that way they don't overheat and they can be used for long periods of time. They do plug right in, and again, for those of you that are interested, come up and check this out afterwards. It is a very smart and pretty straightforward install. Another thing that'll likely go on my car shortly after summer camp. Is that for all three subgenerations? Great question. Yes, this is applicable to all NCs. They all have pretty much the same fog lights, and the mounting solution is the same. So the trimming, if you have an NC1, the trimming will be maybe slightly different, but basically you're just making space for the heatsink fins, and you'll just trim a little corner out, and that's basically it. Excellent question, thank you. Okay, I think that might be close. Okay, the only thing that I didn't talk about is the NC Turbo. Does anybody want to talk about the NC Turbo kit? How about let's just open up with questions. Does anybody have questions about the Turbo kit, and then I'll move on to other stuff? You just want rides? Okay. For what it's worth, oh, I saw Jonathan. Yes, sir. Will the what be available? The cat available separately later? Brandon's nodding his head yes. So probably as like a replacement part in case you have one that's worn out. Okay. All right. Oh, I was going to mention that tomorrow there's the drive over the monument. No, sorry, Mesa. I did that yesterday. I'm getting mixed up. We're driving over the Mesa. If you don't know what that drive is, any one of these signs that has the QR code that you can scan, it'll show you the drive path like the Google Maps thing. If you are going on that drive, or say maybe you'd like to ride along on that drive, I don't have a passenger spoken for yet. So if you'd like to experience turbocharged NC-ness, let me know. I do accept bribes. What's that?
Only one.
Only one bribe? Oh, no, only one passenger. Yeah. As long as you fit in the seat and you can get the seatbelt around you. Good luck. Okay, let's take questions. Who has questions about any of the stuff that I talked about? I know I talked a lot. Yes?
The air scoops for the ND, what ground clearance issues does that give you? I mean, they track the street? Is that track only item?
Okay, so what ground clearance issues might you come up with after installing these on your ND? Basically, they do stick down a little bit, but I think this is the bottom side. Yes, Braden? Uh-oh. This is the bottom side. Gotcha. So looking at it for mounting, yeah, it's probably an inch and a quarter, inch and a half, maybe somewhere around there. It does stick down a little bit lower than where the center line of the control arm is, but given the rest of the control arm is kind of flared up because it's a stamped steel, or no, aluminum piece. Yeah, it's aluminum cast piece. It doesn't actually stick down much compared to the control arm. And unfortunately, I don't have an example for you. I wouldn't expect there to be any kind of clearance issues unless you are going somewhere that the ground clearance is uneven enough to get that high, like think off-roading, or Maybe you hit a berm really hard at the wrong point. But because they are a pretty simple thing to attach or remove, you could replace them pretty easily if you needed to as well. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes? Ah, okay, so the question is, can I leave this in there permanently, right? Once this is installed? Yes, that is the intention. Basically, this little guy, I don't have the bolt, but there's a bolt mounting point that screws up through the bottom of the subframe. So once you attach this, basically sit in the top and then run the bolt up from underneath, you just leave it there. Don't have to take it out, you don't have to worry about losing it. Hopefully don't have to worry about your oil tech guy losing it. Yeah, it just lives there once it's installed. But if you need to take it out to do anything else, like maybe you need to replace your oil pressure sensor, whatever, clutch hose line, it comes out with one bolt. So if you need to service it, you can take it out really quickly. Who else has some questions? Questions for Brandon. Do you have a question for Brandon?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So the new Randall,
Yes.
have you verified that mesh in the inlet is small enough to keep small rooms out? I speak.
Okay. George's question is, on our version 2 Randall Cal intakes, he wants to know how small must your mouse or gerbil be in order to fit through there or not fit through there? I will say we haven't done exclusive, extensive rodent size testing.
That might be a version 2 upgrade, perhaps.
If you have a rodent that gets through there, send us a picture and tell us how big it is, and we'll make one small enough for you. All right, any other questions? Yes, sir. So the question is, will we have a valved exhaust for the NC, like our Hush-O-Matic for the NDs? Those of you who are interested, pester this man right there. Ask him every day, every hour. No. We are looking into exhaust options for the NC, especially now that we have a turbo kit. We want to be able to support it and have a little bit more full catalog. So yes, we are, well, I will say we are looking into it. I won't say yes because we don't have one at the moment. But seriously, send emails to Brandon.
Similar question. So for the ND3, the Hush-O-Matic, there's that remote control that goes into the windshield. Yeah, are you looking at that? Should I have any hope that that'll ever?
Yes, good question. So the question was, will we have the Hush-O-Matic CAN bus control module for ND3s? Mazda changed the wiring and specifically the CAN bus module language, or I forget how to word it. I'm not the guy that did the work on it. But basically the wiring and the logic is a little different on ND3s. So our current CAN bus control module doesn't plug in and work on the ND3s like it does the 1s and 2s. Will there be a new one for ND3s? We are very much looking into it. I don't have time ETAs, unfortunately, unless Brandon knows of anything, yeah. But keep bothering us about it. We will be coming out with something like that as soon as we can get it sorted.
There is hope.
There is, yes, there is hope. Oh, way in the back, yes. When will the Randall intake be in stock for the NB? Is it Ethan over there at the sales table? I don't know offhand. Come find one of us after the seminar and then we can look it up for you.
June 30th.
Oh, June 30th. Thanks, Kian. Johnny on the spot. Or Kian on the spot? I don't know. All right, any other questions?
The new louvers,
Yes, louvers.
I noticed the first flap, the gurney flap one, it seems a little smaller.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't say this earlier. One of the features that's built into this is a gurney flap. And yes, it is smaller, mostly because of the packaging, but it is a functional gurney flap. It does create a negative pressure above the louvers to help draw more air through. And that is also pre-bent. So again, don't have to do any fuss bending, you just bolt it in. It comes with a template for each side and rivets. So it's about as easy as you can ask for hood louvers. Excellent. Who else has questions? Another hand. Oh, more hands. I'll get to you in just a second, Jeremy.
Question on the NC Turbo, the valve cover, stock valve cover is plastic. I see the white cover out there. See if you have a alloy. Is that an option? Is that just a necessity?
The short answer is that I'm vain. So the question is, there's a white NC out there with a red valve cover. Do I need an alloy valve cover? No, you don't need one. I just like red. So we actually did a lot of testing, and Brandon can attest to this if you want to hear the gory details, to get the temperature under control with a custom PTP blanket and all of that kind of stuff. With the stock plastic valve cover, it is actually a fiberglass reinforced nylon plastic valve cover. It's a tough plastic. It is actually pretty temperature resistant. We actually ran into more issues keeping the valve cover gasket from getting crumbly and dry. So even with a aluminum valve cover aluminum valve cover like what I have, that doesn't solve the problem of that gasket going bad if it gets too hot. So that valve cover, I will go ahead and shout out, that is actually from Stefan Knapp at Knapp Motorsports. If you like an aluminum valve cover that you can powder coat and look pretty because you're vain like me, talk to Knapp Motorsports and he'll get you set up. But no, it's just for looks because I like red. Jeremy, I think you had a question, yeah?
Yeah, how much of a bribe do I have to give you to swap cars?
We'll talk about that after the seminar, yeah.
And also, like, I'm for the exhaust on the MC for engine.
Keep telling him. Keep telling him. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Oh, goodness. More. Yes. We'll start on this one. Oh, okay. That's okay. Go ahead.
Vents for the hood, like you brought up heat issues with the NC Turbo kit. Like at what point is it a really good idea to vent that hood in terms of running that kit? If you have like a cooling solution like you can and all that stuff, is that the next?
So now we're talking about more future products. Maybe I should have talked about that instead. So we are actually looking into what options or what we could do to add more cooling upgrades to the NC. TBD.
So should I hold, if I get the kit, should I hold off cutting holes in my hood?
So basically, to kind of come back around to, do I need to cut holes in my hood for louvers for a turbo NC? The answer is maybe, especially for track days, because that's when you're working the turbo and getting it the hottest, especially if it's a bigger track that you're keeping your foot down for longer. Basically, if you've noticed, your coolant temperature gauge has kind of a flat spot, so it'll hang out 12 o'clock, doesn't really move for a while. In our testing, it tends to start moving about 115, 117 degrees Celsius, somewhere in that ballpark, and that's when you should be like, okay, I need to back off and start letting it cool down. We have seen we have tried some torture testing on our car, where basically we wanted to see what it would take to get it hot enough to make that happen. And at our track, if it's a really hot day, we can, if we just do repeated laps and laps and laps and laps. So if you are seeing your temperature, your needle actually start moving, and you're still needing to go several laps, yeah, you might consider doing hood louvers, because they do a phenomenal job at moving more airflow through your heat exchangers to keep the engine cooler.
So it's really limited to that much beating on it.
I would say track cars are much more likely to need it. For street cars, probably not. I've actually had mine on my street car, or my turbo on the street car, for over a year now, year and a half, something like that. And even driving around in town, stop and go traffic here in LA with AC rolling, it gets toasty. Like, I've seen temperatures, up to about 108, 109 Celsius, which is warm, but it's not actually moving the needle. and then, as soon as traffic clears up, I punch it and get out of there. On the street, you really shouldn't need it unless, like, if you've got cooling issues, otherwise that's a different problem. But for street Miatas, you probably won't need it. I think you had a hand, yes?
Yeah, I wanted to know if you have any phase swap support for us?
So is Kevin still in the building? I think he might have left early. Okay, the question was, do we support K-swaps? They are very cool, but no, we don't have any parts that are specifically designed for K-swaps. If you're interested in that, there is a company called K-Tuned. They do offer K-swap parts. I have heard that our clutch kits do work with the K-swap setups, though, for what it's worth. That's about where my knowledge ends on the K-swaps, though, unfortunately. There was a gentleman here earlier that had an NC 2 or 3 with a K-swap. It's actually pretty sweet. I think he's left, though, unfortunately. Okay. Any other questions? You're not tired of listening to me yet?
Real quick.
Okay.
Yes or no answer.
Okay.
The gauge, do you know if that fits into like the air vent holes?
It does, yes. So if you, like on an NA or NB?
Actually, an ND.
An ND, okay. So at least as of right now, we don't have a solution where you can mount a standard gauge into an ND vent. If that's something you want to see, maybe poke the engineers a little bit. I don't know, I've never tried to pull the eyeball vent out of an ND. I don't know what the guts of it look like. I would like to optimistically say that it might be close to like NAs and NBs where we can fit an adapter, but we haven't done it yet. If you've got a 3D scanner, pop one of those out and send us some scans. George.
Mike, so I'm just wondering on that gauge, is it smart enough you can program limits into it where it will flash at you or give you some sort of obvious indication if you're going
Yes.
beyond the certain point?
So the question is, can you program this to do certain functions like a shift light or a, hey, stupid, your car's getting hot, you should get your foot out of it light? Yes, yes. There actually are lots of different functions where you can set this up with warnings where either the whole display will flash or it changes colors. You can configure it a few different ways, but yes, you can program idiot lights into it. Yes, I have a few in mine. Sometimes I need it. All right. Any last takers? That's probably good. I've chatted a lot. I think I'm ready to pass it on if you'd like to take it from here, Jeremy. Do you have anything else to add? No? Okay. So I will go ahead and close out the seminar and say that thank you very much for listening to me ramble for a long time. I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something. If you have questions about any of this or you'd like to come see it in person, we'll keep it up here on the table so you can come check it out. Also, don't forget, dinner is coming up. Dinner starts at 5. Talking at 5. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we got to talk first again. You know, there's more talking. There's always more talking. We'll do awards. We'll do some other related activity talking. And then we'll have dinner. And I think we're doing Rib City again this year. Yeah, so who's ready for barbecue? Woohoo! So, feel free to play, come see us, come talk, check out more cars, and then we'll see all of you again at about 5 o'clock. Thanks, everyone.